Arcform. By now, you should be painfully aware that I am nothing short of a big ol' Arcform fanboy. I'm such a big fan of Arcform, and by extension tough knives, bless you Jeff, that I have personally purchased 3 Arcform knives, which, considering they technically only have 2 models, kinda says a lot. The Slimfoot is one of my all-time favorite looking knives. Both the ProTech Auto version and the Rayot made manual flipper are endlessly recommendable to anyone and everyone that likes the looks. But before the Slimfoot, and before the Slimfoot Auto, there was this. The Arcform Catalyst, an overbuilt, oversized titanium flipper frame lock tank, designed by Jeff, aka Tough Knives, and made by the CNC operating sorcerers at We Knives. This behemoth had always been intriguing to me, and stylistically speaking, it's a very clean and elegant design for something as massive and heavy and overbuilt as it is. Checking their website, as of the writing of this review, this variant in titanium and micarta is sold out, but the titanium and carbon fiber variant, well, that is still available. Both have these hefty titanium scales that have been milled internally to keep weight down ever so slightly. Not that you would notice. The scales have been milled around the edges to give us this kind of integrated shadow boxing, and the milled area is then filled on the show side by this beautifully contoured slab of micarta. And if you're looking closely, you'll notice that even the pivot collar is done in micarta, and that is something that I have literally never seen on a knife before, ever. On the lock bar side, we've got titanium all around, less the pseudo shadow boxing, but the contouring on both sides is a very nice touch on any knife, and it's done really well in this case. The pocket clip is this big chunk of milled titanium, and although not ultra deep carry, it is a breeze in and out of the pocket. We do have a pretty substantial lanyard hole, but it is thankfully placed below and out of the way of the pocket clip. And all of the titanium on the handle has been finished in this super fine stone wash, almost bead blast looking finish. The backspacer, like everything else about this knife, is hefty. You can actually feel the weight of that titanium backspacer in the hand, but that weight is there for a good reason. And that S35V in blade is just massive. Nicely stone washed with the satin flats, nice saber grind going on. It honestly looks like a shovel, but believe me, this shovel is sharp. Overall, I get some serious Old West vibes from this knife, especially with the micarta inlay and on the scale and on the pivot collars. It kind of feels like the grips from an old Schofield revolver, or something along those lines. Maybe I'm crazy, wouldn't be the first time someone's called me that. This is heavy, and it is tall in the pocket, and a big knife overall. But all in all, I am a big fan of the lines, and the fit and finish and overall quality is some of the best I've ever seen on a We-made knife. Now then, let's talk about that blade. That blade, as I said, is just immense. This absolutely enormous piece of S35VN is rocking a nicely done saber grind, and we do get a nice usable sharpening choil. The blade stock is nice and hefty, like everything else about this knife, but that final cutting edge is good and thin and insanely slicey. Like, way slicier than I expected, to be honest. Absolutely able to handle any and all normally easy tasks, and if I had to guess, it would be able to handle just about any harder task you could throw at it. Something about this blade makes me want to go out back and chop down a fucking tree with it. Something about it just screams, let's go fuck shit up! It's so sick and slicey enough to satisfy my pointless paper cutting test. The ergos, well, let's just say they are wonderful. The nice contouring helps the handle to nestle into the hand, and the chamfering around the handles has taken down anything that might have been a pinch point or might have been a hot spot. It's like squeezing a stick of butter. We don't get much in the way of jimping to help with the grippiness outside of the little bit of jimping on the flipper tab, but the shape and contouring makes this thing feel seriously secure in the hand. Unfortunately, we do not have a decent finger choil, which, would be nice to get a little closer to that cutting edge on something this big, but even without it, I have never found myself feeling like I am in serious need of more blade control. It's balanced extremely well, and going back to that hefty backspacer, the weight is just perfectly distributed, and all in all, the ergos here are just dynamite. And finally, the action. Well, this is made by We, which means we're running on bearings, and this being a flipper and a flipper only, that detent is dialed in just right. Maybe leaning a little bit towards the heavy side for the detent, but it is damn near impossible to fail the flip. You can also kind of pinch the sides of the exposed blade and wheel it out with your thumb, but when a knife makes sounds like this, why would you ever wheel it out? Flipping this thing generates some seriously addicting noises. Very mechanical and tactile in every way. You know it's locking up. You know it's secure. And pushing that lock bar aside brings that finger-eating guillotine of a blade swinging down. Nice and drop-shutty, and yet very controlled and smooth all the way through the closing action. No bearing grit or excess noise coming from the bearings, just silky smooth silence. The lock bar is, like the rest of the knife, a beast. And it's just the tiniest bit sharp along the inside edge, so if you're a fidget whore, like me, you might encounter some serious sore thumbs after a while. But at the end of the day, it's a small price to pay for action that is this good. So, all that being said, where does that leave us? With the Arcform Catalyst, designed by Tough Knives and made by we? Well, while it's around, this piece will run you about $265 at retail, and for everything we're getting, that price is a-okay with me. This is seriously some of the most impressive work I've ever seen from WE Knives, and that says a lot. They do some amazing work. The action is nearly flawless, the ergos are great, and that blade is just as slicey as it is insane looking. So if you like the looks and you're in the market for an absolute tank of an overbuilt knife, this is definitely an excellent option, and one to look at, and one to look at soon. I would suggest you hurry, because from my discussions with the good folks at Arcform, it seems the Catalyst here, well, it's on the way out. And they have said that they do not have plans to order another production run. So what you see out there at retailers, well, that might be all there is. At least for now. And I'm afraid that once those are gone, the Catalyst, well, it's gone for good. But as sad as I am to see the Catalyst go, I am equally as excited to see what Jeff and Arcform, what they have up their sleeves for us in the future. So until next time, thank you for watching. Bye-bye now.